Petrified Forest National Park celebrates the strange phenomenon of petrified wood when ancient logs were turned into stone, but also has an excellent scenery such as colorful painted desert and badland-looking hills. Ancient Puebloans left detailed petroglyphs that tells their story. What is the best way to visit this park? Let me show you. This park is easy to visit in one full day. You will see all of the park unless you want to go do a lot of hiking into the backcountry. There is no lodging or established campsites in this park, although backcountry camping is allowed. The best way to tour the park is to drive the 29-mile road from exit 311 on Interstate 40 to the junction with US 180. Get an early start and take exit 311 from the Interstate 40. Stop by the visitor center, get a map, and talk to the ranger for suggestions and a precise location to pull over from the main road so you can go backcountry hiking if that's what you want to do. Petrified Forest encourages backcountry hiking without trails. They call it off the beaten path. From the visitor center, the road goes north through a painted desert area where there are multiple places to stop to admire the beautiful and colorful landscape with red, white, and gray hills. Next, stop at the Painted Desert Inn, which is restored to its 1920s glory when it was used for food and lodging for visitors. The desert motif has some fine details, like this ceiling of one of the rooms. The views of the Painted Desert are gorgeous. After the Painted Desert Inn, the road turns west and then south with a few more viewpoints before it crosses back over Interstate 40 through some desert landscape before it reaches Puerto Pueblo. A short 0.3 mile trail goes past the ancient Puebloan dwellings and petroglyphs. We found desert flowers still wet from the morning rain along this path. Shortly after Puerto Pueblo, take the turn off to Newspaper Rock. Just off the parking lot is a viewing platform to see wonderful, detailed petroglyphs. Can you figure out the story these Pueblos are trying to tell? Be sure to bring binoculars to get a close-up view of these petroglyphs. Newspaper Rock has the best petroglyphs in the park and is a must-see sight. By now, you're probably asking, we are about halfway through the drive, but I haven't seen any petrified wood yet. Where are they? Never fear, you will get a taste of petrified wood very soon. I saved the best part for the second half. Continue on the main road and make the left turn at the Blue Forest Loop Road. Enjoy the scenery, but be sure to stop and hike the 1-mile Blue Mesa Trail. This trail descends steeply at the beginning for a short while before it flattens out at the bottom of the valley. There are petrified wood strewn about and against the beautiful hills that look like the Badlands Formation. The hills are colorful with layers of gray, red, white, and blue. And this is just a taste of the petrified wood, and there's much more to come. The Blue Mesa Trail is a must-do site of this park. The scenery is wonderful, and the hike, while steep in spots, is really not very hard. The ascent back from the valley is more gradual than the descent and is relatively easy. There are multiple places to stop along the Blue Mesa Forest Loop Road for various vantage points of the Blue Mesa. But if you hike the trail, there really isn't any need to stop at these viewpoints. Blue Mesa is a good place to stop and have lunch that you have brought with you and enjoy the scenery. You did bring lunch with you, right? There aren't any restaurants inside the park, so you better do that. Get back on the main road and continue south by making a left turn. Make a quick stop at the Agate Bridge to see a petrified log across the gap that forms a bridge. The National Park Service reinforced this log so it did not break apart and fall into the gap. It's a nice sight, but you can skip this if you're pressed for time. Next comes the highlight of the park. The Crystal Forest Loop is the best site of the park and the reason to visit this park. The short, flat 3/4 mile loop goes through petrified logs of all sizes. Some are 50 feet long and 4 feet in diameter. You can see, touch, and photograph these natural wonders to your heart's content on this trail. 250 million years ago, the present-day Arizona was a forest with rivers running through it. The tall pine trees fell in the river, floated downstream, and submerged. The logs were stuck in these sediments, buried over time. It soaked up the groundwater and silica from the volcanic ash. Millions of years later, it crystallized into quartz with different minerals and different colors. These logs were from the late Triassic period, when the dinosaurs roamed. In the popular culture, as in books, for example, in the Harry Potter series, you picture something gets petrified right away, right? Turns into stone right away, be it people, animals, or plants. That's absolutely not the case. In real life, petrification process takes hundreds of millions of years. And before I visited a park, somehow I had a picture of a standing forest of stone trees. Of course, that is physically impossible given the way the petrification happens, not to mention the ginormous weight of these stones. By the way, did you get the impression that Crystal Forest is a must-see site? Of course it is. Take the time to enjoy this excellent trail. Make sure you visit this, otherwise your visit to Petrified Forest will be a waste. If you feel adventurous and have time, pull over between the Crystal Forest and the Giant Logs areas where the ranger described at the visitor center, and do the off-the-beaten-path free-form hike to Martha's Butte. There are no trails, but you can generally follow the dry riverbed, and there are some interesting formations along the way. The next and final stop is the Giant Logs Visitor Center at the southern end of the park. There is the Rainbow Forest Museum with a sample of a polished giant log. The petrified log is the third hardest material and it must be cut with a diamond saw. This log was cut over a 2-week period. That's how long it takes to cut one of these things. The short 0.4 mile Giant Logs Trail loops around an area with the largest petrified logs, such as the Old Faithful, a log that is almost 10 feet in diameter. Traveling north to south through the park builds on the excitement as you see more and more of the namesake wood. At the end of your visit, exit the park to US 180. If you only have a few hours, enter the park from the southern end via US 180 and go to the Rainbow Forest Museum. Then hike the Giant Logs Trail and then drive up to Crystal Forest and walk the 3/4 mile loop. That is the essence of the park. But do try to allocate a full day to get the full experience of this wonderful park. We are on our way to visit all the national parks in the United States. Check out my blog in the description box below. Subscribe to this channel and give it a thumbs up if you like it.